Hello and welcome to this InvestGlass webinar. I'm Alexander of InvestGlass, and it's a pleasure today to speak with you and have you during this 30 minutes presentation. Today we're going to talk about what's next with InvestGlass with a special focus on artificial intelligence. This presentation is made for financial services, but also for any other sales in any other verticals, any industries. There'll be obviously a special focus on portfolio management and banks, as you'll see in this presentation. During this presentation, if you have any questions, we have a chat, so please don't hesitate to ask your questions in the chat. And if we have time, we'll get answers for you before the end of this presentation. So with no further ado, I'm going to share now my screen, and let's go. Right. So what is InvestGlass? InvestGlass is #1 sales CRM built here in this beautiful country, Switzerland. We build it with a very special care to make sure that InvestGlass users are not submitting any information to the US. Most of our customers use InvestGlass actually on-premise and not on the cloud. We have InvestGlass on the cloud. We also have InvestGlass that can be installed on your own server. Of course, it makes sense if your company has a number of seats, but we can start from 30, 50 seats. It can be interesting already to install InvestGlass, and this is how we install InvestGlass in places like Singapore, Mauritius, Dubai, and of course in Switzerland. Now, what is InvestGlass about? InvestGlass offers 8 main tools. Digital onboarding to acquire new customers, also flexible CRM, which means that you can reproduce any type of legacy CRM, legacy core banking system and replicate it into InvestGlass. A portfolio management tool that has been built for asset managers and bankers. Automations, and we'll have a special focus today on this topic. Risk monitoring with automation to track potential abnormalities on the positions, the transactions, the portfolio. Automated publishing for quarterly reports, for invoices. So this helps you to generate PDF on an automated manner with a routine. A campaign which helps for sales or compliance to hyper-target a segment of customers and the client portal to facilitate the exchange. We could call this the Uberization of your services to your end customers. Again, here the idea is to make your sales grow sustainably with automations and make sure that your customers will be satisfied with the quality of your services. Now, InvestGlass can be used on a standalone, so you can use the InvestGlass ecosystem cloud, but you can also have different elements, different bricks, blue bricks you see, that you can install into your own PMS, portfolio management system, or CRM. We have offices in 5 locations currently, and we are planning to have 2 more locations open this Q4 2023. As you see, the objective here is to be able to offer you a 24/7 service on all continents. So if you're interested to know more about the services in Spanish, for instance, in South America or Central America, please let us know. We'll put you in contact with our team. Now, InvestGlass also works with consulting partners and different fintech vendors. So using InvestGlass, as you might know if you're already using InvestGlass, doesn't require any programming skill. Now, sometimes you want to build InvestGlass projects, and you might need to have the service of Deloitte, Capgemini, Cognizant, Allianz, Alpha FMC, etc. We are happy to connect you with those consultants if you need so. Concerning the fintech, we work with around 30 vendors. Here you see some of them. Our favorites here, SumSub helping for KYC, Genesis helping you for call to click, and the other solutions that you might know like Fireblocks, Stripe, and Fido. Now, using InvestGlass means automating the process, and this is what we're going to look into today, from prospection to distribution. Collecting data. So first, the first step before you start automating your processes is to make sure that you collect the data correctly. For that, InvestGlass has a very strong CRM where you can restrict the visibility of records based on different criteria. First, on the organization. So who is you creating contacts, and if I create contact, can I share with other members of the company? Then on roles, meaning if you're the head of this department, you might have higher role than if you are a simple employee. Maybe you have special rights for a special purpose. This is a single member access. Or maybe you want to have an access that's given only for a specific period of time, and then it's the travel request. So the whole CRM could be blocked during the travel. Very helpful if you're traveling in places where you don't want your CRM to be open fully. You want to restrict the views. And single record, the most constraining. Now, you can see also to the right that you can create any type of field. And of course, you can add the compliance categorization for GDPR if you're in Europe, but also for FADP, the new Swiss regulation, if you're in Switzerland. Automating means also making sure that you onboard correctly your customers. And often we have this question to with our customers: how long should we take to onboard our customer? How many questions should we ask? Well, the first answer is how your customers are going to onboard. How are you expecting them to sign on InvestGlass? If they sign on a mobile phone, obviously you should ask less questions than if they onboarded on a tablet. Usually 5 to 10 minutes maximum on a mobile phone. And really, I would say 5 minutes should be better. And a tablet, maximum 20 minutes, and 10 to 15 minutes should be the right numbers of minutes for onboarding. Now, when you start automating also your banking experiences, it's important that you foresee what is the plan on a 1 year, 365 days for your customer, from the onboarding to the actual anniversary. Here we have presented an example from the welcome letter to the anniversary with the different steps. And as you see, the little logos with the mobile phone, the emails show you how to actually interact. Obviously, you can put AI all over the system, but sometimes it's better to get the phone and make it human, right? So after, it's a question of cost also, and we'll look into this afterwards. Now, when you are also onboarding customers, when you're collecting data, automating the collection of data, it's important that you have a notion of score to make sure that you also have a concept of quality, not only quantity or speed. The lead scoring system of InvestGlass will help you to assess the quality of the interaction you have with your customers, to make sure that the customers, when they are directed to a specific type of behavior, they feel satisfied about it, and you're also satisfied about the efficiency of this process. To facilitate the collection of data, we have different types. Of course, on the onboarding forms, you can collect any type of field type. And this is very important. This is what you see on to your left. And it's also important when you automate the collection of data that you don't show all the questions. So you can filter those questions based on only I would say the elements that are needed, right? You can show questions or hide questions. So if you ask questions about a type of company in a specific location, maybe you'll ask some specific questions to this company because they are in a specific jurisdiction with specific documents that need to be uploaded, right? To the right, I'm sorry, you will see the concept of sending an SMS, because we have customers that already have their portal and they want to use an InvestGlass onboarding to collect data. So to do that, they can blast emails with InvestGlass and with an SMS question. So it could be a secret question, or it can be an OTP, a one-time PIN, one-time password. They can actually make sure that it's the right person sending the right information, answering those questionnaire. Here you see an example of the digital onboarding system. The InvestGlass onboarding form is fully flexible, doesn't require any programming. And what is very interesting is that you have a notion of package, which means that if you answer one specific package with first name, last name, address, and those questions are also asked in another package, then the answer will be automatically filling in the other forms. Okay, it's very handy. We also have a digital signature system with InvestGlass, which is very important for companies that do not want to use third-party signature system because they want to keep all the customer identifiable data, the CIDs, within their infrastructure. Of course, we work with the SumSub, the WorldCheck, the OnFido, the ID Now to facilitate the onboarding. If you're doing, for instance, tablet or telephone onboarding, OnFido has a wonderful SDK, so we can use the SDK of OnFido, connect it with InvestGlass, and create like this fantastic digital bank onboarding, for instance. We also use the SumSub and OnFido and WorldCheck to check the AML, the CFTC, the counter-terrorist elements of all those names while you import them and you automate the onboarding. Now, processing the information in AI is extremely important. For this, InvestGlass has a no-code system where you can create your own automation rules, okay? And it's extremely flexible, it's easy to use, and it can connect to third-party APIs. So we talked about OnFido, we talked about SumSub, okay? But you can also create your own recipes, automate your own workflows within InvestGlass. We also have an approval process, so it's slightly different from the automation. The automation is like triggers, filters, boom, execution. Here, the approval process, it requires the approval of a group of approvers. This is used usually with banks and governments that need to, or insurance companies that need to approve documents in series or in parallel. Okay, so you can run it in series or parallel teams. And you need to collect those approvers' opinions into this type of dashboard. This obviously saves a lot of time, but it's not automated, right? We also have an automation system that is based on capacity workflows. Here, the concept is that based on the unit capacity of a task or of an opportunity, the machine will select a routing model. You see the green dot here. The routing model will be either on a most available or, as you see on the bottom of this presentation, as a least active. Based on that, InvestGlass will automatically direct the flow to a group of employees, to a branch, to basically the user that is the most available or the less active, based on the numbers of tasks that they have been doing today, that's for the less active, or based on the complexity of tasks they've been doing during the day. This is the most available. Now, this is very helpful because it will help you also to see the capacity of your working force when they are dealing with tasks that are not automated, okay? And this process is extremely helpful because if you see that you have bottlenecks into those different processes, you will be able to spot them with the capacity workflow. Now, automating workflows means automating the actual onboarding. Here you see an example of two types of private banking onboarding on 5 steps and 6 steps with the actual details. If you're looking for the presentation, we're happy to sharing with you. Just write to InvestGlass and we'll share you this presentation. And again, here it's important when you're going to actually automate this workflow to make sure that the workflow fits with the workforce that you have and the capacity, the acceptance of automation that you can set, because on each and every steps you can put automation. We just said that there was an automation on step 4 here, but in reality you can start automating also on prospection. Now, we have also built with InvestGlass KYC remediation processes. Here, this is meant to be automation for, I would say, larger groups that need to collect some data to make sure that the KYC are up to date. Again, here the question when you're dealing with those workflows, that is starting with an email, if they don't reply, goes with a mobile phone call, then goes with an SMS sent, is how much time you can carry this operation. What is the cost of this actual operation? Because obviously sending an email, it's free, mostly free, but having someone taking the phone takes time. Sometimes it doesn't work. It's going to cost you more. And with InvestGlass team, we're happy, or the consultants we're working with, we're happy to help you build those types of workflows to facilitate the automation and see where we can put pressure on human side, when we can pressure the automation part to be as efficient as possible for use cases of KYC remediations. Now, automation means also what type of interaction is left, right? We have three types of interactions. First is a self-service. So here, we automate the distribution of content based on a customer segment. So customer blue will have specific content that will be different from the customer green. This can be fully customized with InvestGlass. And once you have that, you'll be able to create a service portal that is a self-service portal that will be customized for a segment. If you're dealing with private equity, real estate, charity, private banking, you will have basically the right content, the right processes, the right upload of files or digital signature, for instance, that will be presented to the right segment of clients. So here, basically, it's Uberization in a way, because your customers are part of the process. They are helping you to fulfill some specific tasks that you need to be fulfilled. We also have the possibility now to add ChatGPT. If you're presenting the client's portfolios, for instance, you're presenting transactions or you're presenting the actual holdings of a portfolio, you can use ChatGPT with InvestGlass to generate automatically the verbosity, the phrases, the actual content, explaining the content of the portfolio. Obviously, if you have 10,000, 100,000 portfolio, it will be impossible to do this manually. That's why usually we have DPM, discretionary portfolio management, with macro analysis. Here you can go a step below with more granularity, presenting, I would say, more tailored analysis that is more context oriented, that is more, I would say, customer centric, thanks to ChatGPT, and of course, with a rule-based engine behind that is compatible with MiFID, that is compatible with LSFIN, FIDLEG. This tool can also be used for portfolio advisory, helping customers to automate their rebalancing based on investment guidelines, or can of course help bankers and advisors to do the same. Now, ChatGPT. As you know, ChatGPT is an iteration of questions, and usually the more skeptical people using ChatGPT say it doesn't work. Well, usually it doesn't work because most of the time they don't ask the right questions. Of course, there's also a lack of updated content, as most LLMs, so large language models, will stop in 2021, 2020, 2022. So we don't have the latest content. With InvestGlass, we're working on this by bringing some news feed to match and to fill the gap between 2021 and 2023, enhance the content to bring a better next answer or next response. So iteration of ChatGPT, you ask a question, it delivers an answer. Now, obviously, some questions can be far from the client's understanding. So it's very important to make sure that you don't go too far in the alignment between the client's expectations and the usage of ChatGPT. It's based on different criteria and the setup of the ChatGPT function with the backend of InvestGlass. So you have the control of the alignment. And this is a little story. Actually, it's the story of the logo of InvestGlass, to look at the alignment of the recommendation that is obviously the sign of the client centricity. This is why to the right, the dot is not exactly in the center of the larger rounds, but slightly moved to the bottom right of the circle. Now, InvestGlass is currently using OpenAI. We're going to update with GPT for all, which means that if you have capacity to program with InvestGlass, you'll be able to program your own Python fine-tuning with InvestGlass, obviously with LLMs that will be updated and uploaded by InvestGlass team. This use case obviously means that you can automate sales. Automate sales with ChatGPT will save you a lot of time. Now, human is still very important in all this automation because human factor is also key for storytelling. It's key for centricity. It's key to convey emotions. For that, InvestGlass is powered with tools like pipelines, as you know, most of you, which means that you can track the different elements, the different evolution of the deal, and decide manually to move those cards from one stage to another. This is very handy, obviously, because it keeps you human in your sales process, your humanity in the sales process. Of course, InvestGlass will look into how many days you have left to make sure that you don't have rotten deals or a deal that is completely idle with no interactions. But still, you can do it manually. And then connect it to an hybrid tool, such as the system which will help you generate some texts for funds, for investments, and bring this content directly inside InvestGlass emailing or SMS system. The system then embarks a system of variables. So you can say, Dear Joe, Dear Maria, and most importantly, you can include the call to action, yes trade, no trade, which will directly then help you to place the trade with the shopping basket that you have or the order management system of InvestGlass. And then this will be tracked, which means that you can see how relevant are your investment solicitations, should the interaction should be pushed, should be more pulled on the requirements of your customer. Now, everything is beautiful in this automation, but we need reinforcements. Reinforcement makes sure that you're pushing the right trigger, the right nudge to the right employees or the right customer in the right time. And this is a work that we do usually after 3 months, 6 months of InvestGlass automation use cases, usage, where we're going to check if the priority are in the right order. Should you push first new products before you look into the rotten deal? Is suitability less important than new product? Is stress test less important than suitability? For this, we do training. We train the pairs between the different, I would say, key performance indicators, KPIs that you're looking to achieve in sales, in banking, in compliance, in marketing. And then we see which triggers should be pushed in priorities. The key contacts with InvestGlass are myself, Alexandre Gaillard, but also, Abdulkarim Abdougani and Najia El Yuzgi, that is in charge of projects and of fintech coordinators. Thank you very much for watching this What's New with InvestGlass. We hope you appreciate it. If you have any questions, please send us an email at contact@investglass.com. And we look forward to seeing you next week for the next What's Hot and What's New with InvestGlass. Thank you. Have a nice day. We hope you automate and grow sustainably. Bye-bye.